Judge Rossi, he's not a lawyer. He's a head. I know his name, his date of birth, his address. I know everything.
We are here in the matter of Melanie Gonzales versus Michelle Moat.
This matter is a continuation of the hearing on Ms. Moat's request to terminate a PPO granted favoring Ms. Gonzales. So, Ms. Gonzales, were you testifying last time when we had to stop? Or had you finished?
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm having technical difficulties with my laptop. Is there a way I can call through my cell phone?
You can, if it's a smartphone, you can probably do the whole Zoom apparatus through the smartphone, or you can call in on the number.
I just attempted to do it. I just attempted to do it on my smartphone, and I was having errors as well. I think it's the office that I'm in.
Okay.
Can I?
Well, I can hear you and see you now, Miss Gonzales. Is that just is not able to continue?
It keeps going on and off.
I see.
Sorry.
Well, let's try to do our best. Miss Gonzales, were you testifying last time when we stopped? Do you recall? Had you testified as to the basis for the PPO?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
Okay. Let's have you testify now if you can raise your right hand.
No, I didn't get a chance to speak, sir.
Okay. Could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir. I do.
Very good. And flipping to the original petition here, that was the basis for the PPO. You allege that Ms. Moat got in your face and pushed you, and that then you pushed her back. Is that correct?
She pushed me and I punched her back.
Okay. All right. And that you were arrested as a result of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then following that, you would appear at your apartment, and this references an incident, looks like on November 27th, 24.
Judge, I'm sorry, we lost Miss Gonzales.
That's not good. All right. And Miss Gonzales, when we broke, I had sworn you in. And in the meantime, I'd been glancing through both, the filings in this matter. Whatever came of the criminal charge that was made following the initial incident?
I'm in the process of going through the Veterans Court program.
Okay.
I'm here with
that
Anthony
involve entering a
Torres.
guilty plea to the charge at the start of Veterans Court?
Sure, but I do want to keep my PPO against her, and I have, I would like to state why.
Okay. Yep. No, go ahead. This is your opportunity. You're already under oath.
Okay. So basically on October 30th, when this occurred, Michelle Moat had, and she was really nasty with me. Instead of just being like, hey, can you keep it down? I can hear you. I was on the phone with a friend, and we exchanged words. And then the very next day, I was on my balcony. I was on the third floor. There's a building that separates. There's like a laundromat that separates our building. She's on the first floor, and I'm on the third floor. Our balconies kind of like face each other.
Okay.
And I hear her come outside. Yeah, STFU again. Yeah, I was the girl you were talking to last night. Come outside, come outside, come outside. So I had already called the police because I was doing a property transfer with my ex, who also lived in the complex. And I didn't want to go over to his house, like to, just to avoid any issues. So I already called the police. And as I was waiting for the cops and she told me to come outside, she set me up and she literally, I mean, I should have never came outside, but I was waiting for the cops. She started yelling. She started recording as soon as I came outside. And you could hear me in the audio where I'm literally like, what's up? What's up? Who are you? I don't know. I don't even know who you are, this and that. And she's like in my face. She's bigger than me. This is a big lady. And she's taller than me. So she's in my face. We're in each other's faces, yelling, arguing. And she pushed me. Like, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it was more of like, get back. And I swung. And when I swung, it was a reaction. I am a veteran. I served, I'm retired, and I did combat as well. So you could hear me in the webcam where I'm literally like, she pushed me. She started playing the victim like a Karen. And then I got arrested. Fine, did my time. On Thanksgiving, me and my friend who was visiting was unloading our vehicle for, groceries. She has to pass my apartment to go to the mailbox. I then hear, what the F are you looking at? And I turn and I'm like, nobody's looking at you. I bust my camera out. I start recording. I record the entire incident. She is completely antagonizing me, harassing me, yelling. She looked unstable. She said she was an attorney and that she's like, that's why you're going to get out. That's why you're leaving. That's why you're going to jail. This and oh, so you could hit me. But she wouldn't leave, sir. Your Honor, she would not leave. She kept. And I literally was like, get away from me, get away from me, get away from me. Even my friend, who was a retired Marine, was like, leave. Why are you still here?
Your testimony then, Ms. Gonzales, is that she left her apartment because before you were saying she came out onto the porch or the balcony area. This is different?
Yes, sir. I'm so sorry. This was the day before. She initiated the day before Halloween. Halloween was the altercation. And then the day before Thanksgiving, I was unloading my vehicle with my friend. And she comes out of her apartment to go to the mailbox. So she has to cross my building to go to the mailbox, sir.
Yeah,
and then
I see.
that's when she again started harassing me. And she was like, what the F are you staring at? What are you looking at? And I don't know if I was just like dozing off or what, but I was like, nobody's looking at you. I don't know what you're talking about. I start recording everything.
Where were you located at that time, Ms. Gonzales?
I was unloading our vehicle, sir, with
So you're
my
in the parking lot?
Yes, sir, in front of my
Okay.
building.
All right. And where was Miss Moat?
Building 4. She was walking out of her building to go to on the sidewalk in front of my building, which is 443. She
Yep.
was walking out, crossing
On
to
that
go to the
sidewalk
mailbox.
on her way to the mailboxes.
Yes, sir. And I was
Okay.
unloading my vehicle in front of the door, in front of my building, which is 443. So she was coming out of her building, walking to the mailbox, and I hear her say, what the F are you staring at? Then I'm like, nobody's staring at. I start recording immediately because I already knew this was a Karen situation. She started going, even, my friend who was like, yo, just leave. Why are you provoking her? Why are you? And I'm like, she did 5 false police reports on me, Your Honor, to the point even my lawyer, Maggie DeHart, was like, it was ridiculous. It was so like lying, saying I was beating kids. Every time the cops would come to my apartment, Your Honor, I would be like, do you hear anything? Do you want to come inside? Do you want to check my apartment? They're like, have a nice night, ma'am. Finally, the last straw was I threw a birthday party. It was 7:39 at night on a Thursday. And I was having a birthday party. There was 4 kids in my apartment.
And what's
were
the
playing
date
with
on
my
that?
dog.
What's the date on the birthday party?
Approximately the 21st of November, the 20th of November. Yeah, the 21st of November it was, 7:39 p.m.
Okay.
The cop finally came. Yeah, the cop finally came. It was like the 5th false police report this woman did on me, to the point the cop was so fed up. He's like, this is ridiculous. He goes, you could file a report on her. And I said, who is it? And he told me exactly who it was. He was like, it's that lady. She's been calling anything she can. And if you look at the report of what she's calling on, was even Maggie DeHart was like, this is ridiculous. So I then, after I tried to call the cops and do a harassment on the the day before Thanksgiving against her when she was harassing me. We had court with Judge O'Hara, I believe his name is.
Yep.
And he was like, that was the 18th of December, I believe. And he said, whatever you do, just don't make any contact. Don't say any. I said, Your Honor, she's contacting me. She's harassing me. That same day, Your Honor, I am in my apartment and it's cold. It started snowing on Thanksgiving. She's leaving her windows open. She, like, if she could hear me. And then she comes outside. She's like, Melanie, I have it recorded on video. She's like, Melanie, I'm trying to sleep. And I'm like, I just ignore her. I don't say anything. I just start recording. And this is what she does. So this is why I want, because I have family and friends in Comstock Park, in which if I go to Walmart or to Marshall's or I'm with my family and friends, I do not need to be walking around and hear, what the F are you staring at? What are you looking at? Or provoking or antagonizing me because she got issues. I don't need that. So I want to keep the PPO. I'm already gonna do my part on what happened. I hate that it escalated like that, but she lied. So
Okay.
there's nothing I could do. Yeah, that's it. The
All
only
right,
reason
well-
I'm pleading guilty is because the webcam, the vehicle was in the way of her showing that she pushed me. Because other than that, I wanted to go to trial and prove that this lady is mentally unstable.
All right, well, let me take Ms. Moat's testimony and then I can make a ruling here. So, Ms. Moat, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that your testimony today will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Moat. Why should I leave the PPO? I'm sorry, why should the PPO be terminated from your perspective?
Do you mind if I share my screen?
Nope, go ahead if you can.
Okay.
You'll have to tell me what you're sharing though.
I'll swing back to trying to make that work.
Okay.
May I ask the petitioner a couple of questions?
You may, as long as they're, kind of yes or no questions along the lines of a cross-examination.
Thank you. So the 1031 incident in which you were arrested, I believe you said that you did plead guilty, but that you weren't actually guilty. Did I hear that correctly?
You may respond to that, Ms. Gonzales.
Yeah, I guess you pushed me, so I hit you back. And the only reason I am pleading guilty is because the vehicle on the webcam of the body cam,
my question
couldn't show that
answered.
part. So no, I know you're trying to set me up, Michelle. Stop it. Let me do my time with this. We're focused on the PPO here. Why do you want me not to have a PPO against you? That's the focus of it.
Any other questions, Ms. Moat?
Yes, thank you. So again, 1031, you said that I had been yelling at you while you were on your third floor balcony. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, and you said that on the last recorded hearing when Judge Rossi asked you, so did she just come outside and hit you? And you said, no, I told her. And then she came outside. Did you not say that in the last hearing with Judge Rossi and Judge Rossi asked you? So you did call me outside, didn't you? You just started recording when I came outside. It's recorded on the last YouTube video. Tell the truth.
All right, Ms. Moat, is there, do you have any more questions?
Yes. If I was allegedly yelling at you to come outside,
You already admitted to it.
I didn't actually, thank you.
Oh,
So why did you come outside if I was yelling at you?
Your Honor, I don't. Obviously, you have so much important cases to deal with other than something like this. But you did in the last YouTube video that we did, the hearing. You specifically asked Miss Moat. You said, so she just came outside for no reason and started barreling at your face. Those were your exact words, Your Honor. And then because that's what she said. Oh, she just came outside and started wailing on me, which is not what happened. So you reiterated and asked her, but she just came outside for nothing. And Michelle Moat on the record said, no, I told her to. And
Okay.
I was
Well,
was
and
yelling
here's-
at me to come outside.
And unfortunately, your recall of that last hearing is much better than mine is, because it must have been a while
Right.
ago.
But it's recorded, correct? It's recorded.
Well, we do make recordings. However, I don't think other than we and we do have a recording of it, because that is the official record of that hearing. So it is recorded somewhere. However, my ability to recall that at the moment is limited. I don't know how to do it as we sit
What
here.
this woman is, yeah.
No,
I'm sorry.
and it's coming back to me, and I guess what I'd like to do here to clarify a little bit is, Ms. Moat, from my perspective, I didn't grant the PPO based on the assault, because after all, at the end of the day, it was Miss Gonzales who was convicted there. But after that incident, there were other incidents alleged of verbal confrontation between the two of you. So I guess, Ms. Moat, I'd ask you to address those. And those are similar to the confrontation that resulted in the charges, incidents where she alleges you're yelling at her. And I guess we could start with the one between the mailbox and the
I have it recorded.
Yeah, no, and I've heard your testimony about it. Is there, and you aren't able to screen share it, though, I don't think. Is that right, Ms.
I
Gonzalez?
can send it I can send it to, I don't know if I could send it to the bailiff or the.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if we
clerk
could
there?
play it. That's a little hard to do. For the moment, I've got your testimony on what happened. Let me hear Ms. Moat's version of events.
Okay.
Ms. Moat, what happened that day when you're walking to the mailboxes and she's unloading stuff from her vehicle?
I am scrolling back in my text messages to myself to get that far. I was walking on the sidewalk just in an attempt to check my mail. This is less than a month after I was assaulted. That assault has resulted in more than $25,000 in medical bills, and it's nowhere near done. I still have a consult with a maxillofacial surgeon, neurologist, Mary Freebed. Like, the concussion and the damage that she did on December 31st, there's still discoloration under my eye. So
That was one hit, and that doesn't
Okay.
sound right, Your Honor.
Okay, well, nonetheless, she's testifying. Let me hear how it ties up. So
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Go ahead, Ms. Moat, continue.
yep, I am. I think I might have gone too far. From my notes to myself, I was on sidewalk and walking toward mailbox, and she had her eyes locked on me. I told her to stop staring at me because it's weird. She started running her mouth about how she wasn't staring, but this was the third time she had been caught staring at me. The first time was in my bedroom window, while she was walking her dog. And then I said,
Oh,
I can't remember everything that was said. And this was only 30 minutes after it occurred, less than 30 minutes. She videotaped. I believe she started to videotape once I was past her vehicle. And I didn't even make the remark until I was passing her vehicle.
Wow.
Hang on, Ms. Gonzalez, you can't be
I'm
interjecting.
so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, that'd be helpful. Thank you. You may continue, Ms. Moat.
Thank you. She started talking about how I was harassing her and wouldn't leave her alone. Yet she continued to talk about me on a regular basis.
Well, now, what do you say she continued to talk about with you? What do you mean by that?
She sits on her phone outside and just talks about me.
And how do you know? How do you hear that yourself?
Because I am laying in bed trying to sleep, and she's so loud that I can hear every word she says.
Even with your windows closed or windows open? How does that happen?
Both. She said she's been living here about a year with no problems, and I need to get a hobby or a boyfriend.
Okay, you mean she's saying this on the phone?
No, she said that to me on 11/27.
So this isn't the date of the fight. This is after that. There's a confrontation. That you're both in the parking lot, and she yells that at you after you tell her not to stare at her.
There were words transferred, no doubt. But she didn't say anything or claim harassment or say I needed to leave until after I was through her. I had already passed through her travel or walk between her car or the car and apartment. So essentially, she's got me on video poking at me as well. This is not an unconsented contact by any stretch of the imagination. And then
Well, who says the first thing in that? You say stop staring at me to her, it sounds like.
and yep, and then she pulls out her video camera and says, I don't remember what, but something to the effect of I'm recording this. And I was like, okay, like okay. But at that point I was 27 days into what was a traumatic brain injury that again resulted in more than $25,000 in medical bills. I have lost well over $10,000 in earnings. So I'm afraid of her. My boyfriend is a police officer, and he was like, girl, you can't live in fear. This isn't good for you. And I was like, yeah, I know. Here's the thing, like, she's got criminal charges coming. She's being evicted. I just need to not go anywhere.
I was not evicted.
Okay, and none of that's going to be before the court today.
Right.
I just need to figure out whether or not, Ms. Moat, there's a basis for the PPO here. And I guess the question is when you did you there's a big difference between stop staring at me and more confrontational language using the F word. How did that language go in the time you ran into each other in the parking lot when you were headed to your mailbox?
So more than once I have seen her staring at me. The first and the third times I said the same thing. Don't you think this is weird? Why are you staring at me? Or something to that effect. No verbal demand, more of a like calling out the action
No
as
swearing or cursing, or
as
are you
behavior.
saying that like, stop effing staring at me? What your language did you use?
I don't believe I swore.
Okay,
I do swear. I do. But not at not not
at her.
not well, I mean, we've sworn at each other. But not that
That shouldn't fall.
it wasn't started with me swearing at her. So on 11/27, after I say, like, stop staring at me, it's weird, what do you do, something along those lines.
Yep.
She pulled out her camera, started recording, and she started talking about how I was harassing her and wouldn't leave her alone. She said she's been living here about a year with no problems, and I need to get a hobby or a boyfriend.
She's saying that to you after you tell her to stop staring at you.
Correct.
Okay.
She said it's the holidays and I should be happy. I said she's the one who punched me. She said I pushed her. I said I didn't. She said there was footage, and that's the whole reason she wasn't charged, and there isn't a case. I told her she was wrong. She insisted she was right. Then started asking questions, like in the form of proof, like, well, if that, then how come they let me, whatever.
Not how the court works.
All right. What about the her allegations that you've made multiple police reports? What's your response to that, Ms. Moat? Have you made police reports on her?
5.
Yes, but I thought I didn't prepare anything on those because you said they were not considered as part of your issuance of the PPO.
Yeah, generally I don't consider well, I mean, when you're making the false reports, right, I generally don't consider those as a basis for the PPO. However, I can use them when I'm evaluating your credibility in these confrontations that are occurring between you and Ms. Gonzales. What's your explanation of what happened with the police report?
They vary.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to me.
No, that's to Miss Moat. All right, and they vary. What do they involve?
Generally noise.
Excessive noise as you view it coming from Miss Gonzales' apartment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and
Your Honor, can I say one more thing, please?
yeah, I'm going to give you a chance, and I'll give you a chance to ask
Okay.
Ms. Moat some questions. I just want to get all my questions here.
So then regarding the 11/27 incident that she reported, she
Yep.
she didn't tell you everything, just some of it.
I have it recorded.
Right, well, and you're saying, Miss Moat, okay, yeah, this is the one that is there. What part am I missing?
So yeah, this is the 11/27 police report.
Yeah.
Where she told you there was a confrontation. She never, I don't believe in the petition, said the cops were called and she was told no. So the caller, Melanie, wanted to report ongoing confrontations between herself and another nearby resident, Michelle. There's been ongoing issues between the two since there was an assault complaint on 1031. That is under case
Can you
number.
read the entire police report? Oh my God.
Melanie was
Ms. Gonzalez, you're gonna have to mute or I'll have to mute you.
Oh, I thought I was muted.
Melanie was lodged that night, but then charges were dropped by the prosecutor's office. That is true. I did speak with the prosecutor who declined charges. He clarified that he did so in a unrelated to some found footage that she talks about. So the report says, today Melanie said she was unloading groceries and Michelle initiated a verbal argument between the two while they were in the parking lot. Both of them participated in the verbal argument and called each other derogatory names. Melanie recorded the incident on her phone. The incident did not get physical. Melanie wanted to have the incident documented because she was building a civil harassment case against Michelle. Melanie believes Michelle and another woman who works for the office complex are teaming up together in an attempt to get her evicted. That is Looney Tunes. I was not teamed up with anybody in the leasing office. Not friends with, don't talk to anybody in the leasing office unless it's related to issues that are going on that they need to be aware of. This officer says there was nothing criminal about this complaint or the video. I did not obtain a copy of the video and told her to keep it in case it was of value in her civil case. She was then arrested. And that was on the original assault charge from 1031. So I mean, I'm sitting here saying it was not unconsented contact. It was a verbal back and forth and is not stalking. It doesn't meet, it doesn't hit all the elements. It doesn't.
Well, you're saying because now you started the conversation and there's a difference in, what she says and you says transpired there in terms of what was said to start the conversation. She says, you say, what the F are you staring at? You just said, stop staring at me. And that there was a back and forth between the two of you. It was a two-way conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Because one of the things, and I already knew this, and it led me, I don't want to say I was paranoid, because in the context of that word to me is like worried for no reason, but I had a reason here. So her boyfriend, the man who had been, I guess there was some passing back and forth between Petitioner and someone in the leasing office and breakups and makeups, and I don't know. But one of the things she said to me in this transaction was, my boyfriend works here, right? I do actually know that. Thank you. The leasing office had it set up so that I did not call or report anything online or to maintenance directly. I was instructed that until she no longer lived here, I needed to contact the leasing office so they could arrange one of the other gentlemen who is not Petitioner's boyfriend to enter my apartment. So she doesn't get to fling words back and forth and also claim stalking.
Yeah, in other words, it has to be unconsented. You can't be a two-way conversation. It has to be unconsented or unresponded to threats, is your argument.
Yes.
Okay.
And
And did that verbal escalation, did it ever escalate to the point of swearing in that your recollection, the 11/27 incident?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And you're saying, she said, you would take as offensive things to you, get a hobby, etc.
Oh, well, I mean, she loves to call me. And
Now,
the
when did she call you that, or when did that happen that you recall?
10:31 and the evening prior.
During the confrontation, the fight?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's not like I'm the only party that swears. She just would be out on her balcony swearing for no reason.
And you can hear this from inside your apartment, or would you have to be on the balcony to hear it?
I actually don't have a balcony. I
Okay.
have so
A patio.
Patio, you're on the main floor, like that kind of situation?
yep, but it's like dug in a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's like a wall that could be scaled or
Yeah.
climbed on. So the 11/27 incident where she is continuing to engage and at the same time telling me I need to leave, walk away, where am I supposed to go? Because she has at this point pinned herself between me and my apartment and my car. So, like, you can't claim harassment. And then as she was walking inside, she told me I was and needed to lose weight. Which I find interesting because when she was booked at the county jail a couple hours later, she weighs more than I do. So, and I guess that's another thing going to just general credibility. Her petition says that I'm 6'1". I'm 5'6", 450 pounds.
What does this have to do with anything? Can we get to the point?
All right. Well, you're saying that she overestimates your physical size in the petition to make it seem as if you're larger, more intimidating than you actually are.
Either that or she was so intoxicated at these events that she doesn't accurately recall. She wouldn't be able to recognize me if she thinks I'm 6'1" and 450 pounds and 50 years old. I'm 38, just turned 38. So,
All right. All right. Well, I think I've heard your response, Ms. Moat, that you say the basis that I granted the petition on these verbal threats was actually a two-way conversation where there was some insulting language thrown both ways, that it wasn't any more threatening to Ms. Gonzales than it was to you, I guess, and that that's insufficient for a PPO.
yes, I'm afraid of this woman. From the time I let me stop sharing so I can get back in. From the time I was assaulted until like I had a primary care appointment on 11/22, I had left the house a total of 4 times. Once to go to the ER the night this happened, once to go to urgent care for something unrelated, and once to go to the leasing office to explain my face. That's 3. So maybe there were 3, maybe I'm missing one. But yeah. So you've got me saying this was a verbal exchange, no party more guilty than the other. The officer's report also states that. And this is not me calling the police on her. This is her calling just to report harassment. But I mean, this would have been something to include if your argument is that you were a victim on 11/27. The issue here is that she is not and has never been the victim. I'm the one that is afraid to leave home, had been afraid. I didn't open my windows, my blinds, haven't opened them once since that incident. I have legitimate depression, anxiety. A psychiatrist that has had to prescribe medications to manage the outfall from the concussion. I can't sleep at night. I am prescribed medication to help me sleep at night instead of sleeping during the day when it feels a little bit safer in the world. And I'll just kind of sit back and meditate. I don't know. Not do anything for hours. Trying to
What you're not doing, or what I'm hearing, Ms. Moat, is you're not going out there and engaging or yelling at Ms. Gonzales.
No, I'm afraid of her.
Live. I have everything recorded.
All right, Ms. Gonzales, you have an opportunity now to cross-examine Ms. Moat. That would be to ask her some questions that are,
I do. I made a list. I'll be quick and straight to the point. Yeah, I'll be quick and straight to the point. First and foremost, about all that medical hoo-ha she said, when Maggie DeHart, attorney, she literally, her and also the prosecutor asked for her medical records to provide it for court, and she refused to provide that information. That's one.
Okay, well, and that the medical issues
Wait.
not before the court right now.
Right, but I just want to, because right now I want to talk about credibility. Your Honor, the first
do you have any
asked
questions
me,
for Ms. Moat before, and then I'll let you make a closing?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead and ask
Actually.
him.
I'm sorry. Ms. Moat, when you said you did not know anything about the staff, or you had no engagement with the staff, how did you know that I had a boyfriend? And when you said, I said, my boyfriend works here.
Are we gonna do?
You said, wait, let me finish. Let me finish.
Let her get the question out, and then you can give a response, Ms. Moat.
Let me get the question out, because you stated that when you walked by and said, "What the F are you saying?" Now, this is the day before Thanksgiving, the 27th. When you walked by and engaged with me, you said, when I said, "Do you know my boyfriend works here?" Because I was recording you, you said, "I know all about your boyfriend." So you just told the judge that you did not know anything about staff or you had no engagement. But why did you say that you already knew? Where'd you get that information from?
All right.
If you did not talk to the,
okay,
if you did not talk
hang on, stop the question now and let
Okay.
Ms. Moat answer.
Okay.
That information was provided to me by Petitioner's neighbor the day after the assault.
All right.
The leasing office wanted to be sure of who I was talking about with the incident. And I just walked over. They said, just take a picture of whatever's on our balcony. Went over to do that. And there was a young woman outside, and I was like, "Hey, do you know who lives there? Do you know her name?" She said, "No, but I know her boyfriend works here." The rest of the information I know about the conspiracy, eviction, staff is all because I've heard it out of Melanie's own mouth from her balcony.
I don't talk to you. That was another question I had, Your Honor. So
okay, go ahead and ask your next question.
It's snowing. You have your windows open. I'm talking on my phone. You could hear me. You say that you don't stalk me, but every time, and thank you for reminding me about when I walk by with my dog, you said I started cussing at you. Do you not recall that every time we've had any engagement, and I have 3 videos of this, of you coming out and questioning me, talking to me? Not one time have I initiated, except that time, I haven't initiated anything with you. It was always a reaction to what you said. Is that not correct? because I have this all recorded and I have a witness. You keep your windows open in the middle of winter to hear what I have to say. And I have videos, I have pictures. You're lying.
All right, well, let's have Miss Moat, your response. Have you had your windows open during the winter time to overhear what Ms. Gonzales is saying?
I do keep my windows open occasionally, even in the winter. Never for.
But you said that your windows were closed.
Hang on, let me get the
The
answer
judge.
out first. Let's get the answer first. You may continue, Miss Moat.
So the windows, they open, they close. They're not permanently open. They're not permanently closed. I kind of enjoy sleeping when there's fresh air coming in. I just shut my bedroom window so it doesn't affect my heat bill. But there's plenty of nights where I did the exact same thing and she doesn't, I don't hear a thing from her.
What about the question where she's walking her dog past your apartment? Do you engage her at those times?
Absolutely. I was standing inside my bedroom and she was standing outside of my bedroom window on the sidewalk. I did say something because that is weird.
Walking my dog. I can't even walk my dog without you saying
Okay,
anything.
well, what did you say to her, Miss Moat, at that time?
Why are you staring at me? That's weird.
Exactly. What the F are
Okay.
you staring at? Tell them the truth.
Okay, so you and Miss Moat, this is you.
I just have
inside
one more
your
thing to
apartment.
say.
Miss Moat, you're inside your apartment and you see Miss Gonzales. Is she on the sidewalk or is it on grassy? What kind of area is it?
She's on the sidewalk, technically. She's not anywhere where she doesn't have the legal right to be.
Yeah.
It's just creepy when you notice someone is just staring inside your bedroom.
And so your testimony is it appears to you that she stopped and staring in your window at this time.
Yes, she in response said, "I'm walking my dog." And I was like,
I was. I'm walking my dog and I hear what? It's constant. I can't even walk my dog. And I have something to say, Your Honor.
Well, hang on. I'm going to give you a
victim.
chance to testify again.
Okay.
But do you have any more questions at this? This is a last opportunity for questions to Miss Moat.
Yeah, one more thing. That was basic. If you're in fear for your life. I don't know what kind of car you drive. I don't bother you. I have every single time we've ever had a conversation, you have initiated it. I don't say anything. There was a couple times you checked the mail after when I was still there. I moved January 25th. Why are you saying you're afraid of me when there was multiple times I've seen you? Nothing was said.
So you're saying that I've seen you multiple times and didn't say anything?
After December 18th, and I told the judge I have recordings, then you started acting up and said, okay, she's recording me now because I'm not responding to you. You're coming outside engaging. I have a video of I had said absolutely nothing to you. Who comes outside and says, you're talking about me? Nobody's talking. You're stalking me. That is stalking. How do you know I'm talking about you or somebody else? Or why are you in my business?
All right. So far, that's a
weird.
question. Miss Moat, any response to the question?
I guess I don't understand. I think there was a statement within the question, which was something regarding a December 18th court proceeding, but I wasn't there for that.
Okay. All right. Well, it sounds like you didn't
no,
understand the question. All right. Ms. Gonzales, you do remain under oath from your previous. Any additional testimony you'd like to make supporting your PPO?
Yes, Your Honor. I did not know that in this. I was keeping it strictly on the PPO, but when you want to talk about feelings and what the damage and mental and financial distress this person has put on me,
none of it's
not
relevant to the PPO.
I don't have to do exactly. It's irrelevant, right? So I want, like I said, I would like to keep the PPO against her. Actually, I'd like to make it a year because being that I have family, I've never had issues in this complex. As a matter of fact, that civil lawsuit that she's talking about wasn't for her. It was for the management company, for the record. But anyways,
Okay. And you still live there. I mean, you didn't move.
Yeah, I moved January 25th. I moved
so you're
January
out of
25th.
that same apartment area?
Absolutely. I left, I moved, I wasn't evicted, but the financial distress of like, because after all this, I knew, I was like, I got to move from here. Like, this is all the harassment from the police reports, this girl nonstop bothering me. I had to leave. So January 25th, it was probably the cold. I'm from Hawaii. I'm not from here. So the coldest time of the year, I had to pay for movers during the snow. I had to pay for escrow fees to not get evicted and to prove, I had to show videos and everything like that. Not only that, I had to pay to move my apartment. I had a 3-bedroom apartment, find another apartment, put a deposit down, get the movers. The movers actually went overtime, so I had to double pay them. Not only that, the financial distress, I have been in therapy. Well, I've been in therapy, well, just from the military and everything, but this was ignited. This was a reaction, and she's playing this victim role of like, I didn't do anything. When she said, and my credibility, Your Honor, when you asked me, she pushed you pushed her back, I was very honest. I'm very transparent with everything I did. I said, I hate that it escalated like that, but she did push me. The only reason I'm pleading guilty was because the webcam, the car was in the way of her pushing me. She is taller than me. Yeah. I do work out, so I lift, so I am stronger. So if I weigh more, I look skinnier than her, but I weigh more, whatever. But anyways, the fact that this is just, I don't bother her. Now, if there was something of like, I was still contacting her, or I didn't have all this evidence of her initiating every single time with me, if she never said anything to me, this would have never happened. So
what about her allegation about that 11/27 incident? That is one of the ones that I based the PPO on.
Yes, sir. That's the one I have it all recorded. I have my retired Marine friend was with me. We're unloading my vehicle in front of my apartment.
Can you show the recording on the
yes,
on this?
Yes, hold on.
You can screen share it?
I can I send it to the clerk? It's like I have it right here in front of my face. It's a 2-minute and 14-second video. And I also have the December 18th as well, coming out of her apartment and me not saying anything. Is there a way I can email
sending
it?
it is harder because then I would have to screen share it. I am not sure that that's going to work. Are you able to share it on the screen or play the audio?
Yeah, I can play the audio. Let me do this right now. Okay.
The audio,
This is on the side. This is on the sidewalk. I wish you'd seen it because the way she looks like she's drunk. Like, it looks like she's.
Well, you're saying
wrong
this
with
is
her.
on. This is
Here
the
you go.
November 27th, 24 incident audio.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
This is not audio, it's a video, but I can play. Is there a way we can, I would really like to reschedule this
Yeah, there
hearing
is a
and
way to
be
screen
face to
share
face.
it. Yeah, or we can do it in court and you can do it in the
Yeah,
courtroom.
wait, let me see if I can screen share. Because I'm no longer on Zoom, I'm on my phone doing the audio.
Yep.
Dang it, I'm so sorry. If I was home, this would have never happened. I didn't think I was gonna have an issue here in the court building, but can we reschedule? Because I really want to show my credibility and how this woman is stalking me. And I have the video.
We can reschedule it so you can play it live in the courtroom.
Yeah, and she should bring those medical records too and keep to the
Well, I
point.
don't think those aren't going to necessarily be, because I didn't base any of the
She spent like 30
PPOs
minutes
on the
talking about
verbal-
it.
right, the verbal assault, not on any of the medical stuff. So
Right. So I want to stick to the facts, videos, XYZ, this is what happened, and that's it. Your feelings, my feelings are irrelevant. I just want to stick to the facts. And this woman was nonstop harassing me.
All right,
I left, I moved. And if you're in fear of somebody, why are you engaging with me? If you're in so much fear,
all
why
right.
are you engaging me?
I have a Ms. Gonzalez, pursuant to the criminal matter, do you have a no contact as well where you're not allowed to have contact with Ms. Moat?
No.
Okay, there's no,
And I
no.
I don't think that I should have that.
No, I'm
Well,
just wondering
you
is because I know you mentioned that
No.
eventually you pled guilty
She's doing a
sometimes.
retaliation PPO.
Okay,
what
sometimes
she's doing.
there's a right you know, a no contact order in connection with the criminal thing. Well, in any case, the no contact order will remain in place. Lisa, when can we schedule it in court?
Your Honor,
Go ahead, Ms. Moat.
may I share the audio from December 18th?
That's what we're doing rescheduling for, so we can do that in court.
Well, hang on
God,
just a
she
sec.
doesn't
Let me
listen.
go back, Ms. Moat. What do you have from December 18th?
An audio recording. I don't video record her. I have 0 video recordings of her, but the audio of me asking her to stop talking about me and audio of her being the opposite of an emotional distress.
You may go ahead and play it.
Thank you.
I don't know if you like remember how like I like blank out and I look at things, like I'll look at a wall and I'll stare at a wall.
So I where is the emotional distress? She's literally laughing at the fact that I've asked her to either stop talking about me or talk about me in a location I can't hear it. Even I don't know, lowering the volume. While defamation is not protected by the First Amendment, I don't want more cases with her. I want it to be done. I want to be left alone so I can just start to like heal my mental health from, I mean, that type of speech came from her regularly. But the audios I played after, where she's mocking me, she says, oh yeah, we're all laughing over here. Where's the emotional distress? Because I'm not seeing it.
Right, and what I think I hear you saying is, Judge, if you take these statements as a whole, they do not sound like someone who is in fear or feeling, you know, the impact of harassment on her end.
That is correct. I think she is using your judgeship and your P number as a form of a shield to minimize, I don't know what, but it doesn't make sense. And I do have a P. So P77271. I am a licensed attorney. So when she says she's not an attorney, she's just, I'm assuming if I heard that, so did the people that live around us. At that point, I absolutely have a right to ask her to stop. I didn't leave my apartment. I walked outside onto my patio connected to my apartment that it has walls all the way around it. So it's not just like a walk outside and then you can walk anywhere from there. There are walls built up. So
Contained. Yeah.
Yes, it's a cozy little area. My mental health, like, can you imagine if you had a neighbor with a bunch of other neighbors around and someone said, oh, Judge Rossi, he's not a lawyer. He's I know his name, his date of birth, his address. I know everything. That,
Yeah, well, and you're saying you do have the right to ask her to stop in those instances. Not certainly to spur further confrontation necessarily, but to ask her to stop making the communications, or at least the ones that you can overhear.
And I mean, honestly, I could have said, hey, defamation, you can't do it. I'm calling the police. Like, in general, calling the police escalates things. It doesn't always, but in talking to my boyfriend, he was like, yeah, like if you call, like if you don't feel safe, call. He goes, otherwise just try to drown it out. Like, she's moving, you know, she's moving. You were told, so the office actually notified me. I was assaulted on a Thursday night, and by either Friday at 6 p.m. or Monday at 10 a.m., the leasing complex told me that they were issuing her a 7-day notice to quit under the landlord tenant law statute that prohibits one leasee from physically injuring another. And there is an 11-4 police report where, and I can show it if you'd like, but there is an 11-4 dated police report. And the responding deputy puts in the report, spoke to community officer, deputy. She is in the process of being evicted. So I'm just trying to like hold my own as much as possible. But how much is one person supposed to take before they say something? And I didn't say anything horrible. I didn't swear. I didn't yell, shout, scream. I wasn't inappropriate. I was literally begging at that point.
All right, well, let me get a response from Ms. Moat. Ms. Moat, having heard those recordings, you know, the argument here is it doesn't sound someone who is in fear by repeated unreasonable harassment. What's your response? I'm sorry, Ms. Gonzales.
Your Honor, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I didn't know it was illegal to talk in my living room to my family members. This is where I'm stating the stalking. If I'm under emotional distress and I want to talk to my family members of what's going on, how is that defamation? I'm not going to her job.
Well, and we're not here about
defamation.
defamation. I mean, that's not the point. The point is that in trying to assess, you know, the relative state of mind of both you and Ms. Moat, you know, I've got to say, well, are you someone who's been subject to repeated incidents of harassment and thus?
Yes, sir. I have the video.
Protective order.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. That's why I wanted to do a hearing, to show you the video. She comes outside of her balcony and says this stuff. She leaves her windows open. I live on the 3rd floor, so I have high ceilings and there's like an acoustic. Never had issues with anybody in that. I would live there for a year and a half. She just moved in. And like, you could hear me in the recordings when she started recording on the altercation. I'm like, who are you? I don't even know who you are. Why are you? It's non-stop. And every single time, Your Honor, it's been her initiated. And that last recording, I have the actual video footage of it where you could hear me say, hold on the phone to my friend. And I go outside and she's standing outside of the balcony saying all this. I did not engage. I did not respond. That was December 18th.
She's standing outside the balcony on the ground floor, like on the sidewalk?
The patio. It's like indented, like it goes kind of underneath. And then like just me walking my dog, Your Honor.
Well, her patio comes directly out under your balcony?
No, sir. It's like not horizontal, vertical. It's vertical from my balcony to her. In between is a laundromat. And I think only the first floor units don't have washer dryers in it. And so I have my own washer dryer. So I never even was close to her patio. Ever. Just when I walk on the sidewalk, walking my dog, minding my business, and I hear what the F are you looking at? And she's already admitted to it, even on the last YouTube video, Your Honor. She has called, if you're so afraid for your life, why are you engaging with me? Even in the video I do have that I would like to reschedule this and show you, the Marine I was
Remind me
with
what that
was like,
video, what's that one gonna show?
that was when I was emptying the my vehicle for
Yep.
the groceries, and she walked out of her apartment and said, "What?" Excuse my language, Your Honor, but I just have to, for the record, say exactly what she said to me. She admitted it, and then she said she didn't do it until she walked past me. That's a negative. When she did that, I go, I wasn't looking at you. That's when I grabbed my camera. She walked by and stopped. She stopped, Your Honor. You could hear in the video of, yeah, we exchanged words. I wasn't so friendly, but I'm not lying. I'm not denying that. But this woman is sitting here lying and denying that she's, oh, I'm the victim. Even in the video, you could hear the Marine say, walk away. Why are you still here? If you're so afraid for your life, why are you in my face? Why are you antagonizing me? Why do you come out of I did not know that talking about somebody to your family members was illegal.
Well, and
I
it's
can't
not
talk to my
illegal, but
apartment.
yeah, the point is the question is, you know, how does that relate to these alleged incidents of harassment? I think the only way I'm going to be able to make a determination is I will set a future hearing when you can play
I
the video
appreciate that.
of the outdoor incident in court. The protective order will remain in place until that time, and I'll review the video and then I'll make my ruling at that time. Lisa, do we have a date and time? How long is the video of the outdoor?
Excuse me?
How
There's 2
long
minutes
is
and
it?
14 seconds
Okay, so it
on the
shouldn't
one
take a huge amount
November
of time.
27th.
Lisa,
Yeah,
when's the
November
next time
27th.
we can schedule an hour in the courtroom?
May
I have
7
multiple,
at
Your Honor.
3:15.
May
All right.
7th.
Yep, May 7th, 3:15 p.m.
Your Honor,
Okay.
Yes.
I've been violated due process rights since
And
this.
so have I.
Okay, it's not a back and forth conversation. Go ahead, Ms. Moat, make your statement.
So within 14 days of filing a motion to terminate, a hearing should have been held and a decision made. It's been more than 3 months that I have had rights taken away. I am an attorney. It is a big deal to me that I not violate a court order, but this is, again, I'm not leaving home. It's not worth it. I don't, all it takes is her making one false allegation, or I have anxiety. I do. I will never say I don't. But in this case, my livelihood is at stake here.
Well, it doesn't prevent you from practicing law or doing any of those things. All it prevents you from is any intentional contact with Miss Gonzales during that time. It also prevents you from purchasing or possessing a firearm. Is that a material hardship? I mean, do you have a firearm that you need to carry, or are you planning on obtaining one in the very near future?
It's purchase, no. Possess, yes. I just, none of this is fair. Criminal court has decided she's the wrong party. Landlord tenant, wrong party. So
That
essentially,
is not true. It's all documented. What is she talking about?
Okay,
That is not even documented.
Right now, Miss Gonzalez, we're not having a back and forth.
I'm
I
sorry.
get
I'm
it.
sorry.
Let me respond to the process concern here, and I will note that, of course, you are entitled to a hearing per the statute within 14 days. We may have started, I don't even know if I held the first hearing within 14 days. Often the truth of the matter is that by the time we get the objection and schedule the hearing, we're outside the 14 days on these. However, we do endeavor to give the process. My recollection is we did have a hearing and then we continued the hearing until today's point because of and we're continuing again in an attempt to get all the evidence in front of the court so I can make a decision on what is in, the initial part of what we call an ex parte order, one that's granted based only on the statements in the petition. There's not a chance to respond, and that's of course what we're doing at this time. Now, the flip side of it is, my colleagues and I have often reflected that, with the exception of the firearm provision there, the terms of the PPO essentially ask you to follow the law. That is, not to initiate contact with anyone who doesn't want to have contact with you. And I'm willing to suspend the firearm provision. If you do have a firearm, or you own one, Miss Moat, I'm willing to delete that if that's your intention, pending the next hearing anyway. If that can provide a hardship on people, but the rest of them just provisions, the terms of it just stop you from initiating any contact with Miss Gonzales, and that ought to be seems like infinitely easier now that she is in a different location than you. So, sometimes with neighbors, it's inevitable that you see each other coming and going, but that's no longer the case. I guess I don't see how it creates that sort of unconstitutional hardship going forward.
So I guess first, briefly, I don't believe the 1218 incident can be considered stalking. So if you can find that you have enough information today on the 1218 event, there is only one event remaining, which is the 1127 event that she wants to go down the path of. But I'm going to ask that you grant the motion, because at most there's the 1127 incident and no other incident that demonstrates my continued attempt to harass the petitioner.
Well, she testified to, for example, when she's walking her dogs and you're saying out the window, what are you staring at? She's saying, I'm walking my dogs. She's alleging those are also incidents of harassment that would support a protective order. You initiating contact with her. And I guess my viewing of that 1118, or the one that I'm going to see the video of at a future hearing, that'll give me some additional context. You provided the additional context of the recordings today, which were helpful, and I anticipate that'll be helpful, and then I can make a ruling. So I understand what you're saying. However, Ms. Gonzales did testify today about incidents where, you allegedly, yelled outside your window at her to stop staring, in the window or whatever. Obviously there are two sides to the story. However, I do need to consider that all in the context of whether or not to sustain the protective order here. So I'll take it still under advisement pending that. Do you wish me to delete the firearm provision?
Yes, please.
All right, I will delete the firearm provision, as there is no indication that anyone is threatened to anyone with a firearm, and based on the testimony I've heard, I haven't heard anyone threaten to use a firearm on the other person. I don't think that's warranted to be in there. I will amend the order to delete that provision. It'll take a little while for that to be recorded in LEAN, the Law Enforcement Information Network, and then we'll continue the hearing on that May date.
And then that is another concern for me, is these, once they expire, there is no law allowing them to be removed from lien. So they show up in lien, they just show up as expired. There is not a single law on the books in Michigan that actually allows for the removal of an expired PPO.
That is true. And although I do sign orders relatively frequently, removal from lien, I don't know if that I've learned that saying removal from lien makes it inactive in lien, but it doesn't make it sure necessarily that it's invisible in lien. There is some legislation pending at this time, or at least there was a recommendation by the state bar that this sort of thing, as well as, nollie prost criminal charges and other things. Given, the fact that you can expunge, and when you expunge a criminal case, it removes the public record entirely. However, I will note that lien, in itself is not a public record. It is the law enforcement information network. It's only, accessible to authorized users, and that, there shouldn't be public access to everything that is recorded in lien. Now, what that plays out like in the world of computer background searches and things like that, I have no idea, but I know that the law says that that is a limited use information network for law enforcement only. So,
But I would assume that affects my ability to meet with inmates in custody, going down to the 17th Circuit Court and getting a new card, a new badge renewal.
I don't think it impacts any of those
For
things.
access to the judicial suites.
I think you can do all those things, Ms. Moat, even with a protective order. I don't know that a protective order, unlike a pending criminal charge, for example, which is a much more serious and permanent matter. A protective order is a civil matter. They are recorded in lien. It would be in there, and if it was against a judge or something like that, or a court staff member, then it would be different. But I don't see any reason that would prohibit you from doing either of those things, going to the jail and visiting with inmates, or appearing at 17th Circuit Court. So I understand your concerns, but I think you're perhaps the protective orders are, and they're temporary, as stated. This one only, I looked at the date, it looks like it's in effect until July, and at that point it'll expire. And like I say, I do routinely sign orders removing them. What that really pans out like in terms of the removal of the actual record of it from lien or not, I'm not exactly certain, but I've never heard of a protective order. I've heard those concerns before, and professionals say, gee, it's going to impact my professional license, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I've never heard that in medical professionals, for example, who have had protective orders against them. I've never heard it having any real negative effect on a professional license. I mean, it is a personal thing. It only really impacts your ability to interact with Miss Gonzales. It really shouldn't impact anything else.
But I mean, like, I have given up concert tickets. I am so overly cautious about not violating this order that I'm not living my life again. Just like
Well, and I've told many respondents this before, in that my view of protective orders is, are you intentionally violating? And the only time I find them violated is when a person very intentionally puts themselves in a place where they're going to have contact with the other person, and the respondent initiates that contact. If you were to run into Miss Gonzales, for example, at a concert, and it turned out that the both of you were there unknowns to each other, and you walked 180 degrees and walked to your seats and walked away from her without making any contact, then I can tell you I would not find that as a violation of the protective order. Now,
like
you know that she's going to be at a concert and you go and buy seats directly next to hers, and that's a whole different story.
And that's one of my concerns, is she's gonna try to set something up. But for example, entering onto or remaining on property owned, leased, or occupied by the petitioner. If she's in a building, I gotta go. Quite literally.
Well, yeah, I mean, if she's, I mean, right. I tell people that's right. If you are going to have contact with her, you need to turn 180 degrees, go, well, because you've got everything to lose in a situation. Now, I will note, Ms. Gonzales has not filed any violations that I'm aware of the protective order. That's insofar that your concern is, gee, she's going to, use this as a weapon to, kind of counterattack. I don't see any of those in there. And I mean, the order has been in place now for 3 months, and there haven't been any. So it looks like, so thus far, you know, you're following the protective order, and I'd advise you to do that until at least I conclude that hearing and make a final ruling in May.
Procedural question. Are you gonna ask her to demonstrate a continued need for the PPO moving
No, that would
forward?
only be if she has to extend it beyond
Okay.
July 25th.
I do.
She just needs to justify the filing of it in the first place when we do that final hearing. Very good. Thank you. Those are all good questions. I appreciate both of you appearing today. I'll see you in court in May.
Thank
Then we
you.
are concluded.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.